Okay, so we are discussing the situation of the premix well, and we are with Nana Pa Solomon, the chief fisherman of Elmina. So, you had been accused of corruption, and an embargo has been placed on your dealing in premix well.
Exactly.
Just before the election, I presume, you were allowed back into the trade.
Exactly.
So, what's the situation now with premix in Elmina?
No noise.
It's been given back to the fishermen?
Everybody's happy. All my fishermen are happy. The distribution is even, and no, there's no problem with premix.
But as you explained, I mean, there have been further measures taken by the government since the election, that's since December 7th, to further help with these issues of air travel.
Yes.
Do you think these measures will be more successful?
Exactly.
They'll be more successful?
I believe so.
Do you think these measures can influence the vote with fishermen?
Yes, that's all what we want. Fishermen are not politicians, and we do not want, because the sea is a national asset. It doesn't affect us alone. It is our vocation, so we are the first to be affected. But you know, as a matter of national issue, it affects everybody, because every home needs at least some amount of fish to eat.
Okay. So there are also problems within you, the fishermen yourself. I did a similar interview in Mori, and the allegation was that in Elmina you use lighted attraction. That's a generator, powerful lights to attract the fish. And actually, the sense I get is that they see that as an even bigger problem than petroleum. And this is a conflict amongst the fishing community itself.
It isn't. It isn't a conflict. If you have a little bit time on your hands, we can go through all the canoes that are leaving now. You realize that canoes from Maxim, Sekeni, Takrade, Briwa, Komante, Accra, Tama, they're all here. Unfortunately, canoes at Mori are engaged in a different type of fishing. Hence, they cannot use light as an aggregative method.
So you are agreeing that most of the boats living here would have these powerful lights?
They all have it. They all have it. And it's not, you see, we have a research unit of fisheries department. They should come out. We have research units at the universities. I know that it's practiced elsewhere in the diaspora, even in Africa. We have some African countries like Kenya and so on and so forth who engage in the same light aggregating fishing. All because we have a global issue. Global warming is the problem now. So the water cannot gain the kind of temperature, the lowest temperature for the fish to upwell. Therefore, as things change, we must also change. Otherwise, we always see the kind of abject poverty.
But what's the official position now? As I understand it, lighted attraction has been banned by the ministry.
Well, if it is officially said to us, yes. We haven't had any circular to that effect yet. And we have the Fisheries Act, which does not stipulate. You understand? It does not stipulate, because if you go into the Fisheries Act, where normally the technocrat quotes as why we shouldn't use live fishing, is subjective, it's relative. It can be challenged in the law of court. We can try that in the law court. You understand? But if it is said categorically, we are law-abiding citizens, we will go by it. But then government should find an alternative. We have global warming. And I believe that the technocrats are always traveling to go and seek new ideas. This is the oldest form of fishing that you can ever think of. So if we have the ministry and we have technocrats who travel to go and update and upgrade themselves, then they should come and give us an alternative. You can't just say stop. You understand? Because the kind of abject poverty we are seeing along the coast.
So let me put it on level. What is your relationship with fishermen in Mori, for instance, right now?
I don't have any problem with them. I don't. Not we have a Mori fishing community here. We have it. It's just that the kind of fishing activity that they are engaged in, they cannot use dollar, and they are not a research unit. They can't just use their imagination to. They should tell us. They should come out and tell us that this is the kind of research we have conducted.
And this is the kind of depletion we are doing to the sea. You understand? I don't believe in sweeping statements. It must be backed by scientific, and we are prepared to stop. So government should tell us that this is what the research unit has come up with. You understand?
But on a broader scale, there is a concern that we have extensive overfishing in Ghana.
Yes.
In fact, we might have to come up with quotas as we have in Europe.
Exactly.
What would be your response to that? That would mean fishermen being laid off work.
No, I don't believe in that.
Why not?
Because the kind of vocation we are involved in, or the kind of fishing we are engaged in, does very little harm to our waters. But the industrial vessels, they have no close season. They begin from 1st January to 31st December.
But you don't have a close season apart from Tuesdays.
We do. Yes, apart from Tuesdays. And then when we have the moonlight on, 2 weeks in a month, we don't go fishing.
I see.
When it's raining, we don't go fishing. When there's current, sometimes we have a swift current in the sea that we don't go fishing. When there's when it's raining, we don't go. When there's storm, we don't go.
If I understand you correctly, you say even if there's a quota system, an equitable quota system should not restrict traditional fishing.
Equitable, yes. But the industrial vessels, look, when they lift up their nets, you can imagine they work on the fish from morning till evening, and some of the fish rot before they get to the freezers, and they throw them back at sea. You understand? So when we're talking about depletion, it is the industrial fleets, the industrial vessels. They must be regulated seriously. 2, 3, 4 months in a year. That is what.
Okay. Let me bring a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
Let's say the government says, yes, there's a bigger problem with the industrial fleet.
Yeah.
There's also a problem with the traditional fleet. We have to bring in mechanisms which will mean that some of our traditional fishermen must be prevented from fishing. Let's take it as a hypothetical situation. What can the government do to not correct but to replace the lost economic activity of these displaced fishermen?
That's the right word, to replace. That's how come I told you initially that if government is saying that we should stop live fishing, government must give us an alternative. You understand? This kind of fishing that we are engaging right now is very obsolete, archaic. It was practiced in the Gold Coast era, and it's still what we are doing. Meanwhile, we have technocrats coming out of the universities, research units. They are traveling to see other vocations, fishing activities in other countries, but they do not disseminate what they see down to us.
So
until we have an alternative.
To be fair to the universities.
Excuse me, until you have, they have been able to come up with an alternative. Throwing out all these people out of business is something else. National security will be at stake. You understand? National security will be at stake.
Now, I'm sure you heard the statement by Dr. Indum, the presidential candidate, that he suspected that in fact some of your fishermen are engaged in drug trafficking.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about that?
If fishermen were engaged in drug trafficking at Pram, then anywhere fishing activity takes place, it can be done. That I assure you. You understand? And besides, we have a peculiar problem in Elmina. We have canoes without nets, hooks and lines, who go to sea and buy off these bigger vessels.
Cycle.
Yes. Therefore, who knows what goes on board and what comes out of the vessel? There are no immigration officers there. There are no customs and excise personnel there.
For your purposes, do you regard such boats as fishermen?
No, they are not. They are businessmen. You can't go to sea without hook and line.
So they are not part of your decision?
No, they are certainly are not. Because the Fisheries Act categorically states that it is illegal to transship. So once a vessel leaves the port, when it has been inspected by the relevant authorities like fisheries, immigration, customs, police, everything, they are set to sail. They must come back so that we don't even know. Fisheries cannot even tell us the amount of fish, the quota, the quantum of fish that leaves our waters each day.
How do you see the strength of the fisheries department? Last question.
The strength of the fisheries. The strength of the fisheries department is still something that I have a problem with.